Quick editor's note before we start the video. My audio did not get recorded along with everyone else, so I had to add myself back in for this top 5 Val Kilmer movie and for Wind River. So if you see that audio seems off and the video seems a bit off from it, that is why. Now we will start our video.
Welcome back to the Blockbuster Hall of Fame. We are here to talk about Wind River. We had dealer's choice. Erica picked the first movie. She picked Wind River. Came out in 2017. A movie directed by Taylor Sheridan. Starring Jeremy Renner, Elizabeth Olsen. And the budget for this movie was $11 million. And it made $45 million at the box office. A little bit of rundown of the movie. So, now, Erica, you picked the movie. Give me your quick thoughts on why and what you think.
I think this movie is important for a lot of reasons. The things that it brings awareness to, the way that it tackles grief, the way that it tackles the perception of people based on race, based on gender, I think is so important. And it just showcases all different perspectives. And I really couldn't think of anything. And I was like, okay, what movies do I like that we could really talk about? And Seth mentioned it, and I was like, oh, there it is. That's the one. So.
Okay. Yeah, Erica, you made up a great point with views that you might have happened to see, especially with the ending of the movie, where they brought up the stat that, or lack of stat, I should say, where they don't track the number of female Native Americans that go missing in the federal registry. So we're completely clueless of how many people went missing, which is just crazy if you think about it.
Jordan, what do you think?
So for me, the big takeaway for this movie that I really enjoyed and really stood out to me was the direction of this movie. Because the fact that they got so many of the actors, a lot of them not big named actors or anything like that, just act and emote so well with their faces and their reactions that you could see and read, and they did not have to tell you how the person was feeling. That was just a magnificent job, and I'm sure we'll go into more details on the particular scenes that stand out. Right now, I'm just going to bring up that right before the big shootout, that is the standout that will always stick out in my head, and we'll talk about it more.
Seth?
And first of all, I'm going to take umbrage at calling John Bernthal just a regular actor, but that's fine. It's no big deal. But no, no, I know what you mean. I'm just messing. I gotta defend John Bernthal's honor. Whenever it is slighted.
Nope. Go.
No, my quick thoughts on this. I'm just gonna say it's Erica touched on this as far as what it has to say about grief, and for me, there's a lot of important things in the movie, but the thing that this movie will always mean to me is that it had the greatest commentary on grief and what I found to be the most helpful advice I think I've ever received from not just a movie, but people, counselors who are paid for this, pastors. I mean, not to throw slide on any of them. They're all great, but none of it compares to the advice and commentary this had on grief for me. I found it to be some of the most helpful advice I think I've ever gotten in my own life. So he talks about how movies can help real life situations and help you and impact your life. This is a movie with one scene, to me, one of my most powerful favorite scenes in the movie, did that for me. So it is a very impactful movie, quite literally, for me.
Cool. Yeah, I know Seth. No, cool. I was actually gonna say that you've actually sent me that video before, and I know how it affected you, and you said those same exact words to me when you sent me the video. I think it was like 3 years ago or something. Yeah, after a friend, mutual friend of Seth and I passed away a few years ago. So yeah, that is. Ooh. Yeah, and then I remember because I hadn't seen this movie until now. This is my first time watching it. And immediately when I saw them on the porch before the conversation even happened, and I was like, I've seen the scene, I feel like 1,000 times. And we'll bring it up when we talk about best scene, obviously. So my quick thoughts are this was a really, really impactful movie. Uh, Touched on a lot of stuff. And I mean, the three of y'all have already said it best where Native American women aren't tracked when they disappear, dealing with grief and getting rid of stereotypes and biases against people and what they think and what they believe. Again, I don't have anything extra to add. Y'all hit it. It was a great movie, well written, well acted. So, first, we will slide into Taylor Sheridan. I know normally you talk about actors and actresses, but since this
Uh,
actually is our first Taylor Sheridan directed movie, not first written. First written was when we did Sicario, which was we talked about Denis Villeneuve on that one. So this one we get to talk about Taylor Sheridan. So, how do we feel about Taylor Sheridan? How do we feel about like his writing style? Obviously, his directing style isn't directed as much in terms of movies, but he does direct some television. What do we think about him? How do we like him? Do we hate him? I mean, obviously, we already talked about Sicario being great. This being another movie, so give me some thoughts, Seth. How do you feel about Taylor?
I love Taylor Sheridan pre Yellowstone season 3. I think there is a very marked difference between Taylor Sheridan, Yellowstone season 1 and 2, the Frontier trilogy that he wrote, and loosely, not in any way connected, just other by the fact he wrote them. And then you look at some of the stuff he's done since, and it feels like he's rushed a lot of his writing, so some of his best qualities have gone down. He also seems to have gotten, and this is without knowing him, this is just based off of Yellowstone, purely off of Yellowstone. Maybe he got a little too big, too fast, because he wrote himself in as a major character to the own show, rented out his own ranch to the show, sued his own star over a
mhm.
coffee advertisement. And so he's done all these things where it's like, man, dude, like, you see Taylor Sheridan in Hell or High Water. Like you see him in that movie. So it's not like he's not ever been in a movie that he wrote or been a part of, but to make himself such a big character. And then it's like the quality of the show went down, the writing went down,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's just one of those things. But like pre that though, talking like the first 2 seasons of Yellowstone era and before, I would have put that guy like up there with anybody when it comes to writing. I mean, that guy is a master of understatement with his dialogue. He doesn't feel like exposition is not a thing. It's very tight dialogue, especially in this movie. I feel like even more so than others. And so I know Jared loves exposition, so I know this is something that he really hates about, early Sheridan writing. But but no, I really like Sheridan up until a certain point, and I really hope he dials it back and kind of comes back to earth and goes back to this kind of better grounded, less soap opera writing.
Yeah.
Uh, I think, in the words of Tony Montana, "Don't get high on your own supply," and it kind of feels like he did. So, Erica,
Yeah, I would
I know.
agree. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
no, no, no. I was gonna. I know some of your thoughts are the same, but do you have anything different?
Um, Sometimes I think what happens is like the demand gets high and so people rush things and, sacrifice the quality. And I do think he got a little, you know, excited that he was in such high demand and he took that, more than just his writing and was like, I gotta be this. And I think it's really unfortunate because Teller High Water is one of I didn't say it as one of my favorite movies, but it is one of my favorite movies. I will be like, "Hey, do you want to watch this?" It's not like a fun movie, but I love it, and I think it's really well done. And Sicario was really impactful as well, and then Wind River too. So I like to Seth's point. I really like just the thought behind what he's doing, like his intentionality, at least for most of his work. It felt, I don't know, just purposeful, and he was trying to tell stories of the people that like needed it to be told.
Yeah. Yorton.
Man, I feel rather lucky because with his movies, all I've seen are the bangers, his first three movies. So I'm like, I'm winning here and thinking he is the best director. So you guys have me questioning if I need to see the rest of his movies now.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm with Jordan on that one, man. Sicario was a fucking banger, well written, well directed. Um, Shit, I still think about Benicio del Toro from that movie. Jeez. And
Especially
then
that final scene with the family. That's the one that
yeah,
always is like, damn, dude.
yeah, no, and like who wrote that? Taylor did. Like that shit's amazing. So shout out Taylor Sheridan. Again, but shout out Taylor Sheridan with the limited knowledge that Yoda and I both have. Um, Sorry, we got to dip into the lore, I guess, a little bit with the Yellowstone. But the way y'all are putting it, I kind of don't want to dip into the.
The first 2 seasons, like okay, I did not wanna watch the show, okay? I did not wanna watch the show. But the first 2 seasons were incredible, and then something happens in season 3, and you're like, "What the frick is this? What are we doing here?" And then we just stopped watching. So,
Uh, okay,
we're in the
so
minority, by the way. Like, people are obsessed with this show, and I'm just like, "Yeah, you like drama and soap operas and reality TV. Of course you're obsessed with this now."
I mean,
We
it
must be.
became Dallas with like a grittier Dallas. That's all it became. It didn't start
uh,
that way. Did not start that way, but it became that in season 3. It was all about the soap opera. It kind of jumped the shark a little bit, and it did things that were like, what? Like this
Mhm.
is.
well, of course, if it's named Dallas, that means it does something stupid like trade your
Oh,
fucking player. Cool.
damn.
Sorry for those who are listening. I am a Mavericks fan, and I've been sad since February 1st.
Yes, and
Um,
for those who are watching, you can see his tear right in the corner.
Um, sorry. Let's transition into what we really enjoyed about this movie, Wind River. I know it landed on some heavy topics, some heavy themes, but kind of give a little bit of just like kind of like what Jordan was saying earlier with the direction. What was like a technical point or point outside of the themes that really like spoke to you, Erica?
Hmm. I'm like, go to set,
Oh,
go to set.
Seth,
I've
Seth,
had a long day.
I got it.
Seth.
I got
No,
you.
you have. To be fair, you have.
I got
Seth.
you. All right. So there's two things that jump out at me. The first thing is I know you said not don't talk about themes, so I'm not gonna. It's gonna be adjacent to that.
Yeah.
What I love is about how much of those dark and heavy themes that he put into this movie without having to rely on, again, like I said earlier, exposition. Like it was such a well-made movie that was a really tight movie. Like it's not a long movie. There's a lot of stuff, but none of those themes feel underserved. Like there's nothing that feels like he didn't quite get that, or oh, he didn't do enough justice to this. And I loved that. But from a technical standpoint, I'm gonna go. He did it a couple times, but the one time that really jumps out at you is in the shootout at towards the end of the movie, and you saw him do it earlier with the wolf. You don't even didn't quite see it, but the way that he just had Jeremy Renner in his snow gear, you don't even see it. You know it's coming if you watch the movie once. Second time you watch it, third time you watch it, you still know it's coming, and it still is like, oh crap! And it's just the way that he shot it, the movie, and took advantage of the landscape, took advantage of the wilderness and all that stuff, and the idea of the hunter, I think, was really well done. And it's I'm gonna say this, and I know this word has a certain um, connotation to it in nowadays society, but it's a very masculine movie without feeling like it's over the top. I love John Wayne. It doesn't feel like a John Wayne type masculine movie though.
Macho. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a macho toughness, but it is like a why are you putting your thumb down? It's not. What are you talking about? It's a masculine movie. Like it doesn't negate anything else. All I'm saying is it's a
Well,
masculine
it's
movie
a
without
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
relying on bravado. There was no like false bravado. There was no, John Wayne action hero Bruce Willis as John McClane jumping into the thing.
Dudes
Jada.
Rock movie.
But see, it's not that though. It's not that.
No, it's not a dude's rock movie.
Yeah,
No,
but
this
it,
one's doubting John Wayne.
It's
um,
the opposite.
yeah, but it
No,
has
this
a
one's doubting John Wayne.
yeah. Okay, I got you. Okay, I was like, this is a masculine movie. That's a perfect example of a truly masculine movie because especially when you see the groove scenes and you see that idea of like, hey, they're vulnerable, right? But they're
Yeah.
vulnerable not in a way where they're like they still had their masculinity to them without sacrificing that. And to me, I think that's a really cool thing to see because you don't see that a lot in movies. You don't see that a lot in entertainment. Usually, if the character ends up being vulnerable, they overplay it and it loses a certain feeling to it that this movie was able to still retain. And I think that there's a lot of great things. And I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'll be done on my positives for the way it's shot. And I didn't notice it till I read a trivia piece, but it's the final shot of the movie with Martin and Jeremy Renner's character, whose name is eluding me right now. But they're sitting under the swing, and as it pans out to the back in its final shot, you see the swing make a little TP like thing on them two just sitting there. And I just think that's really cool. I thought that was a really cool moment to kind of end the movie on before it goes into the facts or lack of facts.
So, Seth, the word I think you're looking for, rather than masculine as the big, strong, like, I must protect type, I think what you're looking for is fatherhood and being a dad. Because really, this movie where Jeremy Renner did a great job is being a dad and several
Yeah,
of the other characters. And I think that's what you're looking at about protecting your family, making sure everyone's safe,
yeah,
And it
and
is
if you
not just
fail at that or
like,
not.
again, protector or father of my family, it's of my community,
Mhm.
mhm,
my people. And it's people as in community is a community that you build. It doesn't, the person doesn't have to necessarily look like you or talk like you. Community is literally coming together in commune with one another. And I think that's the part that's lost. People only think community, oh, the people who look like me or the people who talk like me. Community is the things that we build all together.
mhm,
And then it's being a protector of that community. And
Yeah.
then when we talk about being masculine, it is being so vulnerable to the point where you're just
Yes.
like, I'm a dude crying. Like crying
Yep.
is okay. Even before we even started the podcast, Eric and I were both laughing at the last time we cried. And I was like, probably last Friday. She was like, me too. And I was like, oh, cool. But no, that's what I'm talking about. Like being vulnerable, being able to be seen, standing up for others, standing up for community, standing up for people in your vicinity. That's fucking being human.
Yep.
Not even just necessarily masculinity, but just being human. And as Seth even said at the beginning, I hate how that word has been like turned into some other stupid ass talking point. And that's
Yeah.
what like ruins it. Because masculinity is not even a bad word. Femininity is great as well, but just like the ways that it's been misconstrued by others, you know, I don't want it to lessen Seth's point or Jordan's point and even Erica's point. Sorry, that's my soapbox of I get what you guys are trying to say and you're
Yeah.
saying it, but we got to say it in three different ways so people fucking understand it.
Yes. And I was waiting for someone to
yeah,
mention the
Yeah.
vulnerability because I think like that is also a part that like is not embraced, and obviously you are all men and have dealt with having to suppress your emotions and to hide your grief and things like that, and that's what I just think this movie is so important. And there's also a point in the movie where if we're talking about masculinity and talking about the choices that you make, it's Natalie's brother, right? Like he made his choices, and that was a representation of a man who made the wrong decisions, but blamed everybody, for his circumstances. And sure, maybe some of that is founded, but some of it was your own doing. And then same thing with Corey, Jeremy Renner's character is like he things happened to him. Like he did not have it easy either, but he made the choice to be the man that he needed to be for his community and for his family. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, man, I could talk about this all day. But
Uh,
anyway, from a technical standpoint, no,
yeah, technical standpoint, Erica. Let's go.
technical standpoint. I do like the way this movie was shot though, like with the time jump, and the transition. you know, when you're at the what is it called? Oh yeah, you're knocking on the door and you think that like you're in one time, but you jump to a different time and you get to see
Oh,
what
really
actually
interesting.
happened. I loved that. It was a change of pace and it was raw and then you got back to the current time and it was even worse. It was crazy. It's just chaos from the second you the second they step on that property, it was chaos.
Yeah, it got tense real fast.
Yes.
It's like, now one guy's like, "Oh, you're flanking the guy from Yellowstone." It's like, "You're flanking me," and
Hmm.
they're flipping out. And man, let me tell you, man, that scene was rough. It's hard to film like rape scenes. Essentially, is what was happening in that movie, and that's a rough scene to film, rough scene to show, and you can easily go into the weird with those
Yeah.
if you're not careful. And like I hat tip to them, they did a good job of not making it weird, but making it to where you're uncomfortable. You're like, oh, ugh, and you
Yeah.
just hate that dude.
All of
Hmm.
them.
Hey, fuck them.
Hey, and
Uh,
Yep.
again, the choices that these men made with the circumstances that they're in, I'm like, this story is more than just, ugh,
my technical standpoint before we hop
Hey,
into
wait,
some
wait,
of the
wait.
things that we
This
did.
is the
Oh,
part
go
I
ahead. I
really
thought you
wanted to
were. Oh
talk
no, we were
about, and
ranting
I'm
about
so
something else.
glad
My
no one
bad.
directly
I
talked
forgot.
about it, and everyone sort of danced around it. But for me, my favorite part of the movie was definitely the build up to the shootout, and it was because you could see on everyone's little
Okay, go ahead.
face like something's not quite right here or anything like that. And as they're moving on, walking towards the trailer, you could see the movements of the
mm-mm.
guys, the security guys, moving over to flank
Oh
the
yeah,
police, and the police adjusting, and then finally they just call it out like, "Hey, dude, why are you flanking us? What's going on?" And you could just feel the pressure building up, and then it got settled down, and then it was very quiet, and then oh. What do we know? It's building up, and then we had that great shotgun scene where she gets shot through the door. Luckily, her vest saves her. She goes
dude.
flying back, and then what a great build up to a shootout. I enjoyed it more than the actual action scene because you could see everyone's face and drama, and it just made for an excellent scene.
That's why
Uh,
Taylor Sheridan's so talented. Damn it, why do you have to be bad now?
apparently he's not anymore. So Monstars took his power. Uh,
I think Erica might be a little bit right. I think it's between me and Erica on that one. Overextended, a little too high on your own supply. He can come back. He can make a comeback.
okay,
He can. I'm confident. He's a very talented man.
sure. Whatever you say, pal.
The other thing I liked about this movie was with the character with Elizabeth Olsen's plays, where yes, she is a fish out of water. She is not used to this environment, but she's not complete idiot. Because a lot of times when you get that fish out of the water, people can't act right and they're completely useless or something like that. No, she was very smart. She was very thoughtful, and she knew the price of what was going on with everything. Like in the morgue, where she was like, "No, I need to make sure this body's declared as a murder and not die of the environment, so I can bring
Yeah.
in more resources." And that just made her for a really good standout character, where typically that might not be.
Yeah, and she was very committed to what she was doing. I don't know. It just uh,
She she was a great example of one being a fish out of water because she's a Florida girl. She's not used to winter like this. What the hell, Uh, and that character was also really good at showing someone who fish out of water, not used to this rugged, tough world kind of deal, right? And survived it. And, toughed it out because she was capable without being having to be super heroic about it. She was capable because of just who she was. And she was able to like come out the other side. And I think that was really cool to do. And also, by the way, just speaking of the cold weather part, you made me think of this, Jordan. That one moment where she puts on the winter clothes that she
mm,
borrows. Oh, I forgot about that. I don't know how I forgot about it. All of a sudden,
she's
Jeremy
like, we
Renner
gotta
or Corey
return
turns
those.
around. Yeah, and he turns around and sees her, and he's just like, "Ooh." You can just see the gut punch in his face. That's like, oh, you're dressed like, oh, okay, like his daughter. I mean, it's like, oh. So talking about you earlier too, Jordan, when you talk about the facial expressions being able to tell the whole story without him ever acknowledging it. They never even talk
I
about it.
liked about it was definitely a show don't tell because they didn't have to say anything. They just saw his face and that little
Yep.
quick pan
Hmm.
off to the side with the picture of her wearing that same outfit, and you
Yep.
understood.
All right, Jared, it's your turn now, friend.
Oh no, we're moving on. Because Jordan already said mine. No, no, it's cool. It's cool. No, it just a fantastically made movie. Written, directed, acted, pretty good. Some of the things that you did not like or could have been better, in the movie. I'll start out with Seth because Erica's had a long day.
All
Uh,
right. So I'm gonna tell you, when we went into this movie, and this is like my third or fourth time watching this movie. Yeah, I'll watch it repeatedly. I just can't watch it over and over and over again just because of how heavy the movie is. But like every now and again, it's like, okay, yeah, I need this. I need to hear this message again, or it sounds like a sermon, but these themes, this movie, I just need to watch this again. And we went into it this time. I told Eric, I was like, and Erica talked about this as one of her positives. I was like, I'm not sure how big I am on that all of a sudden time jumping flashback the way it's done and right when it's done. I wasn't sure how much I was going to like it because I always remember kind of like, oh, it's a little jarring, right? But I watched it this time and I was pleasantly surprised. I liked it a lot more. I'm much more accepting of it. And a testament to how well made I think this movie is and how well done this movie is that I don't really feel like they waste a lot of things. I don't really feel like there's anything really left unexplored. The stuff that is left unexplored is part of the message of it, right? Like, yeah, you don't know what happened to his daughter, but that's intentional. You're not supposed to know. Like, that's part of the point. The fact that, okay, what happens to the rest of the Martin's family and them, right? Well, you're not supposed to know that. That's the point. Grief continues. Grief lingers. It doesn't just go away at the end of a movie. It's still there, right? And I think all those little things that could be nitpicks it's just they aren't. Like so the closest thing I got is that transition, but even then, I'm more of a fan of it now after this latest viewing than I was going into it. So I
Yeah.
got none.
I was gonna say the same thing, like, well, not about the knock on the door because I think that was well done, and I always did, but this movie, it's hard. I'm sitting here like, "Okay, what can I nitpick here?" And I don't think there's much, like, they did just nothing was gratuitous or crazy, but it sent a message that it needed to send, and I think if you change any of it, it changes the movie altogether, and so there's not anything that I would change. Maybe the only thing I would change is if they did a sequel movie that was better than whatever I think they tried to do. I don't think Taylor Sheridan wrote that. But I mean, if he
It,
did something else, like I think continuing on with that story in that community, it would be very interesting. So that would be I don't
yeah, this
know,
the sequel is not a him thing, and the only one that returns is Martin, and Scott Eastwood is the main character, and I feel like we can all understand what that means with all due respect to Scott Eastwood.
ick.
okay. What I kidding. Jordan, what are your dislikes?
Man, that's something I have to really think about and real hard. I'm trying to, and I really can't think of any dislikes of this movie. I'm going over it in my head, and this is just a well written, well directed movie, and nothing really sticks out as me as like, man, they should have just slightly adjusted this or slightly adjusted that. If I'd watch it over and over again, I probably could find some things like, you know what, that could have been improved. The pacing a little slow here or something like that. But right now, at the moment, I can't think of anything that stood out to me that I would change or just flat out didn't like about the movie.
Uh, Erica.
I got no notes. No notes.
Can we do one more comment shout out though?
Uh,
I really, really, really like Corey's hat. That was a really cool hat.
Ugh,
Like it looked really good. I really really liked his hat. Just
I
want
got
to
a
throw that
thing
out
for
there.
wigs. Seth
Somebody
has a
cut,
thing for
cut,
hats.
cut
Cowboy
his
hats,
line.
just
Somebody
cowboy
cut his
hats.
line, please. Jeez,
It's
good
a great
lord.
cowboy hat. It was weathered.
Uh,
It looked great. I mean, I have multi. Yeah, Erica hates it when I wear them, so I don't wear them very often. I don't dance.
I mean, don't
hey,
I don't
dance.
dance. I don't dance.
hey,
Trust me.
I wear boots. I don't wear dance. I
you
ain't
can
dancing
take the
boots though.
man out
I
of
don't wear
Huntsville.
dancing.
You can take
I
the
wear
man out of
dancing
Huntsville.
boots.
You can't take Huntsville out of the man.
Huh.
Uh, well, I guess I'll talk in my Huntsville accent the rest of this movie. Or podcast. It'll be okay. No, I guess the thing that I didn't like, and it's kind of like through every single movie that has this. Not a big fan of sexual assault or rape. Sorry, not a fan of it. Gotta say it. Uh,
It's a
and
bold
so
take.
when it's like,
Bold take.
I know. Sorry, guys. And just the way that it's depicted, I know this movie was very tame with it, and I get all the things about it. I personally just am not a fan of seeing that or it happening. If it happens, I'd prefer to be like off camera. But if it is on camera, I guess I would choose it to be as tame as this.
Yeah.
Um, so that's just my personal preference. That's the only thing that I didn't like about the movie. Seth.
I want to tag
Well,
on to what you said. Sorry, Erica. You want to go first? I'll let you go first.
no, it's okay because I probably will have Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
So I will say, like Jared, Jared has a good point here because it's uncomfortable and it's such an easy thing to make weird, especially in today's book talk,
Romance
for example.
genre. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's so easy to make
Romance.
weird, and so like to do it to where you do it tastefully without it being weird, gratuitous, or exploitive, is an art to itself. But
Yeah.
and you're uncomfortable the whole time. It's not, it's not a doesn't go into that unfortunate territory, right? But I think the one thing about this scene that almost redeems it is that by showing what they showed, they also showed that she was in fact a warrior in it, and that's reinforced by the ending of the movie as well. But her fighting back, her getting away, and all of that was. And I get what you're saying. I'm not defending it. But I think that
That sounds like you are.
no, no,
Uh,
just
I
of
know. I'm
all the
giving you a hard
scenes
time.
though.
I'm giving you a hard time.
No,
I'm
no, I know, but
sorry.
like of all the ones that have had it, I think this is probably one. This should be studied. If you're going to
Yeah.
show it, this is how you do it.
So
Yep.
you bring up a good point of that, and probably one of the good things about the movie, that scene
Yeah,
Yeah.
was
no, yeah, yeah.
discomfortable to
That's what
watch.
I
Oh
was
That's a good
gonna
thing.
no,
say.
it's just period.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's period. So no, that's what I was like. I don't. No, it's just
Yeah.
in anything that it's in.
That's what I was
Even
gonna
reading.
say.
Go
Oh,
ahead,
sorry.
Erica. Sorry.
Well, no, like I know for me it was extremely uncomfortable. I think that like this was done in a way that like respected victims of these situations, and depicted how disgusting the perpetrators are. And I think it's important. And I think like the message of showing that, sorry, I get emotional. I'm like, I think it's very, very important that it was done the way that it was done because like you have to feel that uncomfortable because it is that bad. And it just like portrays the seriousness of it. So I'm very passionate about these kinds of things. In my past life, I
This
was
is
a
coming
victim
from the
studies.
woman who picked the Ted Bundy movie. Um, Sorry, I am kidding. I am kidding.
Yeah,
But
right.
no, seriously, when it comes to like this stuff right here, I think the overall point when you do show it like this, make sure the right fucking people see this who need to
Yes.
see this.
Mhm.
And I think that since this comes in a Neo Western, probably gonna hit a good demographic of people who probably need to see this. Um, so yeah, uh, cool. Those were some of our positives and negatives. Now we are gonna
Wait,
roll
I don't.
into.
Did we talk about positive?
We
Kind
talked
of.
about the technical. We did talk about
Yeah.
the
Those
technical.
are the positives, and we all talked about the themes earlier, and then we've already talked about the acting. Erica, did you have another positive that you wanted to talk about that you didn't touch on?
Um, well, we talked a lot about masculinity and things like that. I know we briefly mentioned like the gender stereotypes and things like that. But I did want to just say like the way that they treated the women characters in this movie, there was an array of women there, one's experiencing grief and self-harm, and then, one's fighting for their life, and then one is fighting for,
Yeah.
I don't know, to get the knowledge. I think it
Justice.
was really, yeah, justice. There we go. I think it was really special. And so while it depicted a lot of masculinity, it did depict a lot of femininity and feminine power, despite the obstacles that they're faced with. And I just love the perseverance of the characters, and being able to push through the things that made them uncomfortable. And yeah, there's a part that goes with that at the end of the
Oh
movie, but
no,
that's
I
probably
was
one of my
gonna.
best scenes. But I just I can't. I feel like that couldn't go unmentioned with the talk about masculinity too.
Mhm.
I do want to ask you a follow up since you. I know this is our first video or our second video, but everybody, I think people have listened before, and Erica loves horror movies, especially movies with like Final Girls.
Yeah.
So talk about the comparison between. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get her name right in the movie.
Natalie?
Yes, Natalie, and sort of the other final girls that you like from horror movies, such as like when we watched Barbarian, that was one of I think your picks that you really loved because the final girl in there. Tell me about the comparison of one didn't survive and one did. Sorry.
Yeah. And I think that like obviously the horror movie depicts like something that's not necessarily the most realistic. And I think you could argue that parts of this were like a horror movie, right? And I I love that she fought through every single second. And I think a final girl does that. She pushes through and is able to like keep going. And I'm like, but then reality is real and her lungs, the blood vessels did the things, right? Um, I don't know. Like Seth said, she's still a warrior, and I think they captured that so well. And um, I don't know. Sorry, I'm like Final Girl is very important to me because I think like women are oftentimes represented as helpless, and when we can show our power, um, I just think it's an important message, to see. And like it can be hokey and cheesy and things like that, but like when it's paired with something so real, um, I don't know. I'm like, she is a final girl at heart, right?
Yeah.
It's just reality was
No,
not on her side.
I mean, she literally did the final girl thing,
Yeah,
and it's just unfortunate
she
that the
fought and ran for
reality.
her life. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a part of reality. But no, as I was watching that, I was also thinking about that. And you also picked this movie. So that is a comparison I kind of made in my mind. So I actually wanted to hear your thoughts on it as well. Um,
Final girl episode. No.
uh, Seth, any other positives?
I'm gonna talk about my last big positive because I've already hinted at it anyways. But I'm gonna talk about when you do the best scene. But I will say to tack on to a positive for what y'all two were talking about specifically, right, with the final girl thing, is that we talked about the masculinity. Eric, I mentioned the femininity that's in this movie, and it's a strong femininity without it having to result to. And I'm gonna hate on a movie I like right now, but the weird, cheesy, hokey end game scene.
Hmm.
All right, that the
Like
boys
we're
ended up
women.
making fun of it later because it was just a little too cheesy. That on this big battlefield, all the female characters happen to be within a single frame shot of the movie, and it just felt kind of like okay, this one did strong female characters throughout, dealing with the same way that the male characters did, and they were able to still survive and persevere with Elizabeth Olsen. And so like this is a strong female character like a Ripley from Alien, that kind of
Hmm.
deal, right? And talking to you about your final girl characters that are strong female characters that don't have to have plot armor, who don't have to
Yep.
have Uh, I know this is an overused term nowadays, but a Mary Sue type background, right? Like they did a great job of writing female characters in this, just as they did writing the male characters. So just a testament again to the writing.
Um, Mary Sue. Okay.
I know it's
Sorry. I
overused,
know, I
but
know. It's set in. I'm sorry. Dang. Jordan, any other positives?
I'm going to sound a bit like a broken record with movies, but I really enjoyed the cinematography. It did a great job of showing
All
how
right,
cold
all
it
right.
was outside and
Let's
really
bring it
gave you the
back.
feeling
He's
of
back
like,
to talking about
you don't
cinematography.
just live here, you
Watch every
survive here.
movie. No,
And
I'm
it was
kidding.
like the snow was blinding. You could feel it. You could see it. It was, yeah, in some
Every good
places.
Western has cinematography worth talking about. So
Uh,
yes, and especially not a Western. If you can't get it in a Western, where nature is one of the big key components of it, we
If you can't get the nature
all
right,
right,
then
now
it
look,
ain't a Western.
I did not say that with
See?
an accent.
I think
I did
Eric is
not say
right.
that.
You got to be able to get the nature right.
I am
You
not.
got
You know what?
to.
You know what? Y'all are
You
hating all
just
you
got
want. I'm
to.
not. I am not talking.
Well, said this is a podcast, so that dog won't hunt.
All right, look. All right, my country accent is not coming
All
out, and
right.
I refuse
All
to
right.
believe it. I refuse to believe that it is.
Like I said, you can take the man out of Huntsville. You can't take the Huntsville out of him.
I know you said that. Mm-hmm.
Amen. Amen, sister.
Look at what y'all did to Jordan. All right, and Jordan's on my side. He didn't hear any country accent. Y'all are
No,
just overplaying it.
Jordan knows Huntsville just like us.
That's
Mm-hmm.
true.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't hear any accent there.
So I only lived in Huntsville about for 3 years, so I didn't quite pick up the accent like you guys did.
All right. So then we're gonna open the categories. We're gonna go breeze through these. So we got our MVP of the movie. Who is it? And a quick reason why. Seth, hit me up. Let's go.
I realize that the favorite's probably going to be someone else, but I'm saying Jeremy Renner only because of the guy who had to carry the movie and delivered on the movie, especially of all the big things I'm talking about, the things that resonated with me the most. And he had the hat. But on top of that, he had that part was a joke. But I mean, his delivery of the best scene moment, almost that alone, but also the fact of, again, the vulnerable masculinity, the I'm a hunter when he's talking to Elizabeth Olsen in the cabin about what happened to his daughter, he's just when he sees Elizabeth Olsen in the close, and there's so many great acting parts in here because Gil Birmingham, holy shit! But
Yeah.
like Jeremy Renner to me, I think here's how I'm gonna look at this. Okay, the two people that were up for this movie was Chris Pine and Jeremy Renner, and you know I love Chris Pine. I know Jared, you hate him. You know I like him. I do not think, as much as I like Chris Pine and liked Chris Pine in Hell or High Water, I do not think he would have been able to deliver the same level of impact that Jeremy Renner did. Like this might be Jeremy Renner's best role in movie, in my opinion. And I like Jeremy
Yeah.
Renner movies, so that's not a thing. But to me, he was the MVP by far and large.
So if we had Chris Pine in this movie, I feel like the character would be completely different because Chris Pine doesn't give the dad feels as much as Jeremy Renner. You look at his parts, like even in
Like
Marvel,
Hawkeye, yeah.
he is very much a dad character, and that shines in this movie.
Oh yeah, and I love Chris Pine, so I don't mean that shade against him. I know Jerry don't care for him, but I heard it that time. Uh, but Hell or High Water, he did great in it, and so he would have been able to pull it off. I just don't think it would have been as good without Jeremy Renner.
Erica, MVP.
I'm gonna, as much as shit as I talked earlier, I'm gonna choose Taylor Sheridan because to me, without his writing or in his direction, this movie is absolutely nothing. Like, I can't imagine, I don't know, somebody else trying to write and direct this movie and getting the same impactful, meaningful result. I think all of the actors did a great job because I'm sure he was very particular with how he wanted things to be done. The nuance and the things, I don't know, just the unspoken things like that comes from good directing. But you have to have good actors in the process. But that's who I'm picking.
Cool.
That's who I'm picking.
I mean, I think that's a good pick. If you ask me, Jordan, who do you reckon?
So for me, the clear standout, the clear winner of this movie, the MVP,
I
has
don't
to be
know. I
Sheridan.
was
The
so
direction of this movie was outstanding. From the he got the most out of each of the characters, and his storytelling with it was amazing. So I think he's the clear winner here. I really can't think of anyone else that stood out above that.
well. I think that's a good pick. I think you and Erica made some good picks. I agree with y'all. It is Taylor Sheridan. I don't think Jeremy Renner's a bad pick at all. He acted his ass off, if you ask me. Uh, he was a good job, and I, she, I don't know who's gonna win Six Man, but I know Elizabeth Olsen isn't in the category. But holy shit, I don't want to. We didn't really mention her name that much in here. I am gonna mention her in my best scene. Uh, I said that much, Jordan. Uh, but no, she did a great job. But she would fall in the MVP category. Uh, so she's not gonna win Six Man. I gotta do say that. But yeah, I still want to say, hey, she did an amazing job, and I'll bring her up in a little bit. But Six Man. Oh,
No, I just want to say something about Liz Wilson. I think another reason we didn't talk about her as much is because she's not in the movie that much. I mean, for being a top star billed actor, if you go back and watch the movie, she doesn't show up till like 40, 30 minutes into the movie kind of deal. Uh, she is a main character and she is a big star, but like as opposed to like Jeremy Renner's character, she's not in it near as much. Like it is definitely more his story, and it's a story, that kind of deal. But I think that's another thing that kind of is why we didn't talk about her as much as others.
cool. Um, but no, Six Man. Really quickly, gotta go with um, um. I know he wasn't in there for that much, but uh, I know John Seth John Bernthal.
Say his
Go
name. Say it. You
John
want
Bernthal.
to.
Seth, who do you pick?
I love John Bernthal. I love him. You know I do. I would defend his honor any chance I get. Six Man is Gil Birmingham all day long, twice on
Period.
Sunday. That man
Yep.
made me cry.
Facts.
All right, we got two for Gil. I only saying that because he's from San Antonio. Homer.
I didn't even know that actually. I had no
Really?
idea.
Whoa.
I did not know that.
Stood out would have to be Greener. He's the police chief in this movie, and I thought he did a great job of
Good
showing off
pick.
his emotions and
Okay.
giving you the feel
All right.
of the town so well. And so that is my clear six man.
I did
Cool.
not see that coming, but respect it.
Yeah,
So
good
Jill
pick.
Birmingham is our winner for Six Man. Next up, we have Best Scene. Uh, we've already alluded to one of the scenes altogether. So I know I'm gonna go ahead and start it off. I'm gonna pick when they get to Natalie's house and they go in. They're talking with Martin. Uh, And then Elizabeth Olsen just was like, "Well, why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that?" And she's just like going off, and then she really see where she feels out of place. Then he was like, "Well, why hasn't your wife done anything?" Then he goes in and he sees his wife self harming, or she sees his wife self harming, and just that entire scene leading up into the porch scene, which Seth is going to talk about, so I'll throw him up next. Uh, but no, that entire sequence was my favorite, so that's my pick. Seth, go ahead.
Yes, there's like a lot of great scenes, and I think maybe we'll all have kind of a different one, possibly. But my best scene, favorite scene, obviously that I've talked about or mentioned, referenced multiple times, is that scene on the porch that it leads to that moment because Gil Birmingham or Martin in the movie is being extremely tough macho face kind of deal, right? To Elizabeth Olsen's character, and then like I I don't know, just see that difference of him sobbing and crying, and then having Jeremy Renner sit there and talk about you know, I thought about reading the lines, but I'm not gonna be able to read the lines. I won't be able to finish them. But he when he talks about going to this grief seminar, and he tells them, all about, and I'm just kind of summarize it a little bit for those listening because it's still worth watching and impactful for it. But it's just about how you got to feel the pain, you got to let yourself feel the pain and take that pain, because the good news is you'll be able to like actually be able to visit them later, and you're going to be able to do that. And so stuff like that, I think is just, I don't know, that scene, it's impactful every time, and it's one of those things you can watch it and you feel it every single time.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that makes movies. It's the thing that really makes a best scene the best scene, is the one that has the biggest impact, uh, and especially emotionally. And it's just like, whew, comes like midway through the movie, but it's just like, oh, there's so many good scenes, but that's the best scene for me.
Yeah.
Erica, best
So
scene.
to counter kind of what Seth is saying of like how it produces emotion for him every single time. For me, the best scene is pretty much almost the end of the movie when Elizabeth Olsen and Jeremy Renner are in the hospital. And she's woken up and um he's kind of being a dad in a way, right? Like I love that they didn't make that a romance. But being a dad and like helping her feel a little better, and you just see that she finally breaks. Um, and like when you're working really hard to find justice and you're like doing all of these things and the emotions that you feel and the empathy that you feel for everybody involved in it, it comes to a head and you finally get the answer that you need and you can let yourself go and be vulnerable in that moment. Um, I thought it was so impactful and well done. And again, nothing was really said. It was just the emotion was just what it was, and it was raw, and it was real, and I think it pairs nicely with, the scene that Seth chose as well, and even Jared, like, all those things are very raw, human emotions. So yeah, that's what I'm choosing.
Okay. That was a good pick, Erica. Jordan, yours?
So for me, I don't think anyone's surprised at what my favorite scene is. It's the one I've talked about several times during this podcast, and it is the lead up to the shootout. Just because the body language, the people's facial expression, and the fact that they did it without really using music to build the tension, that is very hard to do, and they did such a good job of pulling it off. And that's why I had the director as the MVP.
Okay. Those like again, I think as we keep talking about this movie, it was tight, it was close, it was impactful. Almost no time was wasted, no scene was wasted. All really good picks. I just got to go. I mean, Seth scene, mine and
Yeah.
Seth's with the porch wins. So Seth kind of like won it because he sent it to me like 3 4 years ago, and that was the one thing that stood out. But then he also didn't lead with the impactful like mental health scene leading right
Mhm.
into it with the bitchy newcomer, and then she realizing, oh, I'm out of my like. He didn't mention that part going into it, so sorry. That is why I picked it as well. But damn, dude, shout out the even the ending scene. I know Jordan was really the only one who talked about it, but that was a great scene as well. So now we are going to get into the Rotten Tomatoes game, y'all. So this is where we need Ray's sultry voice. We haven't heard it in so long, singing the Rotten Tomatoes. Um, this is our first one of the year. When it came to last year, uh, don't have a score for last year. Uh,
Just assume I won. I'm fine with it. I'll take it.
I know I
no.
lost.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I
So,
think actually
uh,
Jordan may have been winning.
I'm assuming so. So when it comes to this movie, Erica, since you picked, I'll let you go last. Jordan, what did this movie get on Rotten Tomato?
So for me, I felt like 85 felt right on the where this movie would fall with Rotten
Okay,
Tomatoes.
we got an 85 from Jordan. Seth, what did it get on Rotten Tomatoes?
I'm gonna go 90, and I'm gonna say 90, even though westerns tend to get hate. I know this didn't win a lot of awards, but I feel like for all the things we talked about, when you're a no notes type movie for us across the board, and there's so many good things and deep, impactful things, I feel like may not have won all the awards, but I think it got a good critical reception. So I'm gonna go 90. I'm gonna go a little high with it.
Erica, they kind of put you in a box. What are you going with?
I know. I'm like, should I go with what it deserved, which is 100? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding.
100.
I'm gonna go a little bit higher than Seth. I'm not gonna go in the middle. I'm gonna do 92.
I, thought, I
92.
know. I thought you were gonna go. I'm gonna go 91.
90.5,
No, I'm gonna go
actually.
92. Give
Uh,
me exactly one way grace above me. All right.
so we have somebody who got it just right for the audience score. Seth, it as a 90 for the audience.
I'm
But
actually all right.
our winner is Jordan. Movie got a 87 on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics consensus: Wind River lures viewers.
Hold on. I thought Jordan said 80.
No, he
He
said
said 85.
87. Oh,
Oh,
85.
oh. I thought you said 80. That's why I was making that face. I was like, hold on. How did he win?
Honestly,
Uh,
No,
though,
no. I do actually want to know about that one. Yeah, I do. But I thought you said 80 at first. I was like, wait, I suck. I got you. I suck at math though. And I was like, hold on now. That don't seem what three
there's a
to
reason
seven.
why he teaches English,
There
y'all.
is. Okay,
Uh,
wait. My bad. No, 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 no. I got you, Jordan. I was like, what? But I do actually. But now that you want to mention it, can we go ahead and talk about the fact that there's 13% of critics that watch this movie, and we're like,
hey,
idiot.
cool. So Jordan is our first winner. Quickly recommend to a friend. I'm gonna start us off and say, yeah, hell yeah, I'm recommending this to friends. I think I only got
Yep.
one other friend who hasn't watched it. I'll make him watch it. Um, and yeah, no, watch this damn movie. It's so impactful. It's important. Uh, Erica, this was your pick.
Absolutely, I'm recommending it to a friend. I think a lot of people won't willingly just be like, "Oh yeah, I'll watch that." So I think like telling someone like, "Hey, look, we're sitting down and we're freaking watching this." Because you're like we've all said, it's important.
Uh,
Take a seat.
Jordan, are you recommending this one?
Yes, this movie was a very easy recommend. Uh, Great direction, great acting. That's it.
Seth?
Uh, usually I have caveats. This is one of those movies that my caveat is that there is no caveats. Like it's a full recommendation because I think even the people who are going to walk away from it and go, "Oh yeah, that was okay," they're not going to hate it. I think there's 13% of critics that obviously were tripping on food poisoning or acid when they watch this movie. But I don't know. I feel like this is one of those movies that even if most people might avoid it, like Erica said, because they see a cowboy hat and they're like, "Oh, I don't like westerns. I'm not going to do that." But like when they watch it, they're like, "Oh, this is some serious stuff. This is a well-made movie. This has something to say." And so, full recommendation to anybody.
Okay. So
Okay.
this movie gets recommended by all of us. Now, the ultimate question. Does this movie go in the Blockbuster Hall of Fame? I'm going to go ahead and start us off. No, it does not. Uh, not putting it in the hall. Only because of the tough subject matter. Obviously, I think the movie is outstanding. I don't want to watch this based on the premise of our Hall of Fame that will we watch this once a year. I unfortunately will say no. Not kind of one, not a movie that I would rather revisit every year. Yorton.
So, first thing we have to bring up is the fact that how our rating system works. Since we have a
Oh
new
yes,
audience here with
sorry.
YouTube, not
Keep
just our
forgetting.
podcast listeners, I'm going to go over our requirements real quick here. For a movie to be a blockbuster Hall of Fame, it does not have to be perfect, great movie or anything like that. What a blockbuster Hall of Fame movie is a movie that you want to see over and over and over again. Like back when we were little, we'd go and rent a movie and we'd rent it many times. So I want to clarify that we can still love a movie, but we don't necessarily want to have it as our blockbuster Hall of Fame. This movie, for example, is a great example of a movie where it is an amazing movie, but due to the topics and everything, this is not a movie I want to see over and over and again. But if someone recommends this movie, or if is asking for a recommendation for this movie, it's an easy recommendation. And uh, so, yeah, I love this movie, but I don't want to see it over and over again because it does not put you in the best of moods.
Thank you for saying that, Jordan. I forget we have a new audience now. I forget that. So thank you for clarifying for the new audience. So Seth, Hall of Fame or not?
So I first watched this movie around, I don't know, 2020, 2021, somewhere around there. And I've watched it once a year since. I Yeah, no, it is. The answer is yes. I actually am going to watch this movie at minimum 1 point a year, which is the definition of me rewatching movies because I don't really rewatch movies, and with the exception of like one movie that I rewatch repeatedly, um, and like so for me it has to be because I would rewatch it. My definition is if I rewatch it once a year, that's my version of rewatching movies. So, uh, yeah, it's like I don't reread books and I don't rewatch movies, and so when I do rewatch a movie, it's a big deal. And this one, despite its heavy themes, Jordan's right. This is not a movie you're going to leave and you're going to be like, "Wow, ain't this world beautiful? The What a wonderful world." It's not going to be that, but every now and again, like I said, I've spoken to the impact it's had on me. I cannot stress that enough how much it has. And so for me, yeah, I'm rewatching it. I love the crap out of this movie, and I know y'all do too. But it's just so yes.
Erica.
Yeah, it's kind of tough because I'm with Seth, and not we don't always agree on movies.
That's true.
Uh,
So true.
I'm over here like, am I a masochist? No, I sometimes you need to rewatch movies that make you hurt, and for me, like this could be something I watch very consistently. The Light Between Oceans, like Imma cry, Imma feel things, Logan, right? Like, there's a lot to it, and for me, I think why I would vote yes for this movie too is it reignited some passion, about some topics that I, had kind of lost or put to the back burner because it wasn't, like, my career anymore, and so it had me researching and looking into things and, like, wanting to do things, and, I think that's really special for me, so Imma say yes. Unfortunately, that puts us out of tie, so I'm sorry.
Uh,
I want y'all to know she's not kidding about The Light Between Oceans. I
no,
know we did that movie and y'all know how sad that movie is.
no,
She ain't kidding.
I will cry for an hour after, I don't understand.
That's not hyperbole.
so
I want to be very clear to everybody.
we have a
Not
tie,
hyperbole.
and what we do with ties, we have to put it up to a vote. So we'll ask somebody. Phil has not watched this. That's the friend I was trying to recommend it to.
No. What?
Oh
No.
God. Okay.
He hasn't watched it?
But I'm not gonna save my. I'm gonna save my comment for later for what Erica just said. On movies that hurt. Um. Cool. Yeah, that's what I say, Jordan. I'm gonna get back to it, and y'all fucking clown the shit out of me last week or 2 weeks ago.
Hereditary?
Uh,
Now you said that was your
oh,
comfort movie. We're not out of here.
Yeah, you cannot.
Yeah, we're not saying the
you gotta watch things that hurt. I
wait,
fucking watch
Phil
something
has
that hurts, and then I get clowned for it.
time out. First off,
No, there is no
no,
timeout. And
That's
timeout
on
is like, damn,
no, I have
this
news.
is coming to a pound.
I have
and
news.
that's on masculinity
Has
and
he watched it?
femininity. No.
Yeah, I have two piece of news. Number one, Erica ain't watching The Light Between Oceans for comfort. All right, and they're two very different things. Second thing,
I
Phil
didn't
has
say
watched it. He just quoted the movie at me to prove it. He said, "Why the fuck are you flanking me?" To prove that he watched it. Oh, oh, oh. He says, "Oh, absolutely. Who says no?" That's what I'm talking about. Yes. I knew I could
Yes.
trust Phil. I asked him
Hell
after his
yeah.
team won
No,
a
I'm not
playoff.
upset that it made it. I'm not upset that it made it. I'm upset at his comment. I'm not upset that it made it at all. I'm just upset at his comment. Who the fuck said no? Like, there's valid reasoning for saying no. Yeah,
Yep.
there's valid reasoning for saying no.
He
But no,
also added, he
I'm
said
not
he's
mad that it
effing
made it.
wrong when I said that Jared said that no. He was like, he's
You
effing
didn't even
wrong.
tell him why. You just said,
Well,
"Who
yeah,
said no?"
I left that part out. That doesn't help my
Dang it.
narrative. I need to help my side out here. Oh,
Gee.
Oh, Taylor.
Okay. It is in the Hall of Fame. Wind River is Jordan. It is our first movie of 2025 that is in there because it's our first actual movie of 2025. Jordan, what are you watching this weekend?
It is Heat. And that's just because we all had that on our list. I even had comments from my older brother watching the podcast that that was one of his favorite movies. So yeah, we're doing Heat.
I thought it was real genius.
Not real
Gosh.
genius.
I'm kidding. Yes. I'm excited.
How dare you?
No, I'm excited. I'm excited. It's a great movie to talk about. And I get
Yeah,
to watch
hell
it
yeah.
again.
Let's go Heat. Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't watched it in probably about a year, some change. So I'm
I
excited.
heard that. So, guys, we
What?
just officially now know that Jared's new basketball team is the Miami Heat. He
Heat.
just announced it. He just said, "Let's go Heat." It's NBA playoffs. Yep.
You heard it
We
live.
now
You heard it
we
live.
now know
See
who
y'all
his new
later.
team
We are
is.
done. I am done. I will see y'all later. I have to get uh like 1,300 steps to hit.
Hey,
10K.
hold up! Before we close
Oh,
off, we have to make
hey.
the YouTube plug now. That's right, podcast listeners. We now have
Yeah.
a YouTube
Yeah.
channel.
Shout out
If you go to
YouTube, folks. I'm gonna
youtube.com
be
and
contributing
look up
immediately.
Blockbuster Hall of Fame, we have a
Oh,
YouTube up. We should
That's
already have
it.
one video up. We might
Well,
have two
sir,
or three
you know,
depending on the timing.
we look
But
through that
go and
camera
look.
stuff.
Leave a like,
Through
comment,
that
and
camera, there's
subscribe.
some folks out there, and I don't know what they look like.
no, don't try to pull this back on my accent. You said YouTube folk.
I know what I
It's our
said.
community.
Let's go YouTube folk. Are you a folk? A YouTube folk?
See y'all later. I got to get my steps in.